When it comes to public safety and policing, you basically have two trains of thought. You have the Republicans who want to empower police to actually do their jobs and enforce the rule of law. But then, of course, you have the Democrats who want to reimagine policing, which always has some catastrophic effects, as we've seen in New York and California. And this, of course, is exactly what's being discussed over here by Representative Laurel as she shuts down Jerry Nadler. But before we get to these clips, don't forget to like and comment on this video so we can get through the algorithms. Here we go.
The Republican majority offers no policy solutions that would actually protect residents of Washington, D.C. or other big cities. Instead, they seek only to flood these cities with more guns, while they work against meaningful legislation to invest in our communities and support proven public safety measures. Remember that under Democratic control, the House passed the Victim Act, legislation that would provide $100 million a year to law enforcement to help solve homicides. But 178 Republicans voted against it. That's 178 Republican members who opposed the bill to help prosecute murderers. 55 Republicans opposed the Invest to Protect Act, a bill that would have authorized $300 million in grants for law enforcement agencies with fewer than 125 officers. And now that Republicans are in the majority, not only have we not taken any of these bills back up, but they are actually looking to cut funding for dozens of critical grants and government services that support state and local law enforcement. How exactly is this supposed to protect victims of violent crime in Washington, D.C.?
Let me start by saying the obvious. The goal of the criminal justice system is narrow but noble. It's to help solve crime. It's to enforce the criminal laws on the books in a fair, constitutional, and predictable manner. It's not designed to fix society's ills. We have a murder problem in this city. If D.C. was a state, it would have the highest homicide rate per 100,000 residents of all states. The D.C. City Council's laws and statements by members of that council have eroded accountability and contributed to the rise of crime across the city. The council has proven themselves incapable of creating a revised criminal code for the district. Their goal was to shrink the system, not hold criminals accountable. They had a decarceration agenda from the start. The laws they passed were so radical that they eliminated all mandatory minimum sentences for all crimes except first-degree murder.
So let's start with reality. The number of law enforcement officers assigned to a region per capita won't stop crime when law enforcement officers are prevented from doing their jobs by bad law. The number of prosecutors in a community will not stop crime when they do not bring cases and they do not enforce the law. And it isn't enough to have judges on the bench when judges won't follow the rules and won't enforce the laws. We owe a responsibility to the citizens of Washington, D.C., and the visitors from around the world who come to our nation's capital to keep them safe. And all too often they are here and they are the victims of violent crime. They are being carjacked, they are being assaulted, they are being shot in the street. We must face the reality of the crime epidemic in Washington, D.C., and do more. And the reason that we are here is plain and it is obvious. It is the reckless and irresponsible rhetoric and failed policies of the Democrat Party and the Biden administration that has emboldened criminals in cities across America. We owe the residents here and the visitors to our capital so much more. And as a former federal prosecutor and judge, I will tell you this. There is one thing that reliably keeps a violent predator from recidivating, and it is called prison. Do some offenders deserve second chances? Absolutely. But do murderers, sex offenders, and need to be out on bond? Do they need wraparound services? Do those who are out on conditions of bond who violate them deserve another chance? No. They deserve to be in custody, and they need to remain in custody for the safety of the citizens of this community. We need to support the men and women of law enforcement. We need prosecutors who will enforce the laws. We need judges who will follow the laws and enforce the rules. It is that simple, and what we see here today, the testimony that we have heard today, is the entirely predictable outcome of the reckless and irresponsible rhetoric and policies of the Democrat Party, who are undermining the men and women of law enforcement and the rule of law in America. Mr. Stinson, I would like to start with you. In your prior testimony, you referenced juvenile offenders specifically. I'd like to explore the effects that you believe policies related to juvenile offenders are having on the crime problem in D.C., and how we could be doing more to ensure that that issue is under control.
Well, thank you for your question. I think we both agree as former prosecutors that we need a juvenile justice system, and that is designed to help rehabilitate those people who make dumb mistakes when they're young, and we believe most can be rehabilitated. But when you do murder, multiple murders, carjackings, you heard the chairman mention the number of carjackings committed this year by juvenile offenders. The number one age is 15 here in the district who are doing armed carjackings. And so under Title 16, which is a local law here in the district, the U.S. Attorney's Office can take 16 and 17-year-olds and prosecute them as an adult. Many other jurisdictions don't have that type of shackles, and they allow violent criminals who do murder, robbery, and the rest of it, and waive them to adult court, which is what should happen in this city because we have a juvenile violent crime problem.
So Jerry Nadler, of course, is complaining that the Republicans are no longer backing bills that would have invested money into the community, supposedly making them safer. Because here's basically the problem. Why would you put more money into a system that is basically not backing up police, not allowing them to do their jobs, not allowing prosecutors to prosecute criminals, and then, of course, when the judges come out and make their decisions, they're not giving people lengthy sentences or prison time, etc. Okay? All of that stuff is happening in D.C. because it is a Democrat-run city. And of course, they believe in leniency. They believe in rehabilitation, which of course are not bad things. You can't rehabilitate the most violent of violent offenders. And of course, this is something we see over and over again in these Democrat strongholds. They care more about the criminals than they do about the citizens who are being terrorized in these neighborhoods. Defund the police movements, no cash bail, and changing felonies to misdemeanors are not a good way to fight crime. Instead, of course, hiring more police officers to actually police neighborhoods and then, of course, prosecuting criminals is a really good way to fight crime, but they haven't figured this out yet on the left, which is why you see some really crazy rules, especially in D.C. For instance, people up to the age of 25 can still be prosecuted in the juvenile system in D.C., and people up to the age of 18 can basically be in possession of a firearm and not get prosecuted, all right? So, of course, why would you want to give more money to this system that is basically just producing criminals? Because obviously, when you don't enforce the rule of law, people tend to catch on really quick what they can and cannot do. And when you have the criminal element, they're going to do more and more and more. They're going to keep pushing the envelope, okay? And what Jerry Nadler says, of course, doesn't make any sense because what has happened, right? We have had the National Guard, the FBI, law enforcement unleashed on D.C. in a truly effective manner for all to see, all right? That is the big difference. So why are you going to go ahead and throw good money after bad when all that's going to happen is people are going to turn around and be lenient again? Here's a whole bunch more cash just to not fight crime. Here's a whole bunch more cash when you haven't changed the laws. You haven't changed your mindset. You haven't decided to actually be tough on the criminal element, right? It makes zero sense to do any of that. So yes, thank you very much for not wasting our tax dollars there in Washington, D.C. And thank you very much for Donald Trump for actually calling in law enforcement to put a stop to this crazy city. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Do you like t-shirts? Of course you do. And now you can support the channel by buying an Angry Teacher t-shirt designed by me, Angry Teacher. So if you like America, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, then go ahead and click the link in the description where all designs, of course, are 100% mother approved. So enjoy yourself and find something you like today.